Just doing a very quick live this morning because we did the breath work last night and we had such a big turnout of people that turned up to it live. I felt compelled to jump on here and have a little bit of a chat this morning. I've literally made the free breathwork recording is now available. You can find it in the link in my bio. You don't even have to enter your email, okay, to be able to go and do this breathwork. It's just there and available for you now to see. You can use it as much as you want, and I'm going to leave it live. This is what I mean. Don't worry that you missed it. I'm going to leave it live now. If you literally go to the link in my bio, hit that link, and it will take you straight to the recording. You don't have to enter any details. You just hit the link, and it will take you straight there. You can use it as much as you want, and I will leave it live until Inner You starts on Monday. Okay. So what are we now? Wednesday today, so there's loads of time to get to use it. You can share it with people. You can use it as much as you want. Give the link to other people. Like I've always said, I want to make breathwork as accessible as I can to people, and rather than gatekeeping it in the way that I do believe a lot of people do, I just want to make it accessible. And listen, everybody wins in this way because I believe if you love it, then you'll love Inner You. All right. So yeah, go and use it. I can see that the free eSpace on here, which is Nick and Jess, who have become affiliate coaches for Inner You on the last Inner You, really expanded Inner You and made it even better. By the way, if you want to ask questions, put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A thing, and we'll do some questions on healing, on toxic parents, or anything like that. Put them in and I'll do that. I've got a few minutes. So I can talk more than just Inner You. I'll do some questions as well. But yeah, like I say, Nick and Jess came on as affiliate coaches on Inner You 6.0, which is the last one, and it really enhanced the experience. Is the Inner You the same as shadow work? We do some shadow work in there, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, shadow work is a huge part of the journey. And essentially the journey is you get access to each chapter each week. And each week there's a theme to it, right? So you'll have some reflective work that's like pre-recorded. There's PDFs that you can use, as well as pre-recorded video content that explains exactly what you're going to do. And then each week you do a little bit of work on yourself. Then we come together live on a Thursday, once a week for the 6 weeks. That live session is 90 minutes. There's a sharing space. People can share what they've done throughout the week. And then we do a big breath work at the end of that. So there's 6 of those. They're all recorded. So they're 8 p.m. UK time, but they are recorded so that you can watch them on demand. All right, so you don't have to be able to turn up to the live. Lots of people do it just with the recordings. Important to know that you can turn up to the live with your camera off and muted and never interact if that's what makes you feel most comfortable. All right, so the 6 weeks are, we start by getting intentional in the first week. The second week is about self-compassion. So you'll do a really deep exercise, it's quite a powerful one. A lot of people find it like a big struggle. You'll do that. That helps you to develop self-compassion for yourself. Then you'll look at all the masks that you've worn throughout your life. That's shadow work essentially, or a version of it. We'll then look at your past relationships. All the exercises are pretty simple, but they're deep, yeah? They're going to have an impact. Then we will, in week 5, that's where we go and get your inner child. There's a huge visualization, life-changing for many, many people. And then it's all about championing your inner child. And then what happens is after the 6 weeks, you keep access to everything, including the recordings of all of the breath work. You keep access for another 6 weeks, all right? And so you get 12 weeks altogether. Nick and Jess, the affiliate coaches, in the post 6 weeks, then do 2 extra sort of bonus live sessions. And they are 90 minutes again and have a breath work. So I get to breathe with everybody that's done Inner You, which is amazing. And so we do 2 of those sessions as well. So it's £99 for the whole thing. And there's no hidden costs in that. Okay. People keep asking me about hidden costs. There are none. It's £99. You get everything for that. I'm not going to get you to sign up and then hit you with charges left, right and center. You pay £99. That's it. You will keep access to everything for that price. Okay. So that's Inner You. We're getting very, very close. It starts on Monday now. We've had way over 100 people again sign up for this one. We regularly get around 200 people on each one. And yeah, look, if you're still not sure, you can go on to Trustpilot, which you'll see linked in my bio, and you'll see everybody reviewing it there and what people have thought. Let's do some of these questions now. It's best to use the Q&A function if we can, yeah? But I'll try and pick some of these ones up from the chat. I have no contact from my mother since Christmas week. She now wants to see my children. Do I let her back in? Look, I think it's difficult. Here's what I would say. Here's how I would say that you could make your decision. Put yourself at the center of the decision, okay? If somebody has been abusive to you and has that level of toxicity towards you that you've had to cut them out, then it's not your duty to allow that toxic and abusive person to then have contact with your children. That's not your duty, right? The world, for some reason, thinks that we should be trying to mend abusive relationships. As the abused person, that we should be trying to mend the relationship in order to allow this person to then have a relationship with the people that we care about the most. So look, it's not always simple. I think it's really important for me to say that. But I will say this, make the decision based on yourself. Get the noise of everybody out of the way and do what's right for you. Have I missed any questions here? My husband's mum has made sure his whole family has turned their back on him and not one person on his side of the family turned up. We have just hit our year anniversary, but it's still killing him. Yeah, it's such a horrible situation. And the smear campaign is very, very real. It's very measured, and they know exactly what they're doing with it, okay? It's hard, man, because most people want to stay trapped in the dysfunction rather than breaking free from it. And staying trapped in it means scapegoating the person that's talking about the truth. So I think that's the real difficult thing, yeah? Is that once you start to seek and speak and live in your truth, you will then be scapegoated by the people that are unable or unwilling to be in that truth. That happens on a family level, by the way, and then that also happens on a very societal level as well. And I'm going to be talking more about that in future content. How can I stop ruminating over toxic parents? No contact, but they occupy my head. Thank you. Listen, what I would say is if you've not tried the breathwork, go and try that. And then have a lot of compassion for yourself because it's not easy. What you're trying to do is really, really not easy. It is going to ruminate. And this is the thing when it comes to family, particularly parents that we're talking about, even when you cut them out, yeah, if that's where you've reached, for many, the problem doesn't go away, right? It's still, they remain there and they're able to abuse from a distance because of the hold that they have over you. How to not become a parent to your parent. How do you not become a parent to your parent? Look, it's a complex question with a complex answer, but I'm going to try and answer it the best way that I can. I think what happens when anybody has a toxic or dysfunctional parent when they're younger is that you end up becoming quite enmeshed with them, right? There's lots of ways that enmeshment plays out, but the one that I'm talking about particularly here is how you emotionally become responsible from them from a very young age. That happens subtly, yeah? So I'm not talking about, directly and overtly being the one that cuddles them and holds them through all of their difficult emotions. I'm talking about abandoning yourself, about pushing down your emotions and self-evaluating and self-organizing all of the time to make sure that they feel most comfortable. That happens because they place themselves at the center of the universe, right? Your emotions are a problem to them. Your feelings get in the way of them being at the center of the universe, right? And so you will have been called needy and emotional and too sensitive and all of these things, right? As a way of suppressing your emotions so that they get to stay the center of the universe. What this means is that you grew up becoming their emotional parent, right? You will have been in conversations with them and had them talking like you were their best friend, telling you about their relationships when you were far too young, in far, far too much detail, and then expecting you to hold the weight of that and to somehow make them feel better. You then take that into your adult relationships as well, by the way, which becomes problematic because you then become the friend that everybody goes to and they just assume you're all right and you're able to deal with all of that, but you're taking it all on all of the time, right? Not only are you abandoning and pushing down your own emotions, you're then pushing on top of that the stress of everybody else's emotions. So you have to find a way to come back to your body, to place yourself and your needs first, yeah, and then learn to be able to hold space for other people's emotions, right? I don't believe any adult should be holding anyone's emotions apart from their children's, right? I hold my children's emotions. I don't hold anybody else's. I don't take anybody else's emotions on. I can witness them and hold space for them, but I don't hold them. And so developing that with boundaries, knowing when, knowing to be able to say quite clearly, I don't have the emotional capacity, yeah, to be here in this space, and being able to disconnect from that. It's a skill that comes over time, but it's not easy, particularly when you've been enmeshed as a child. Any strategies for coping with toxic mum at family gatherings? Well, here's one strategy. Don't go to them, potentially, but I know that's not always easy. Now, some people will make out as if it is that easy. I don't believe that necessarily to be true. Particularly, look, if you've got a toxic mum, for example, and you've got a sibling's wedding and you're very close with that sibling and, they haven't cut the parent out, then it becomes really, really difficult. Know that it's hard to navigate it. Do the best that you can. And, if that means being cold at the event and not engaging, then you do that, yeah? Like, you're doing what you can to navigate that toxicity and the abuse. It's not your fucking fault, yeah? So the onus shouldn't be on you. Unfortunately, because that toxic person will have created this kind of toxic bubble around them, nobody wants to upset the actual fucking problem, yeah? So at the family event, what happens is you get made the problem. Why can't you just abandon yourself, and why don't you just be the one that makes sure everything's all right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, yeah? That's not your duty. It's the fucking, so it's hard, man. I'm not saying it's easy and it's complicated because of that. But stand true to yourself and stand in your power. And this is why I talk so much about being black sheep and scapegoated. It's because that's what happens, right? That's what happens, and it's not easy. So I know I'm not necessarily giving you full answers of what to do here. And that is, look, like I do that kind of purposely, really. It's more just about exploring the truth and the reality. Okay. There was more questions in there, but they're gone. Let me see if I can catch up with the chat. I've got a little while if there's any more. Oh my God, I'm miles behind on the chat. Hang on. Any advice on this? Mum and dad are both toxic, but alone they're not as toxic. But together their toxic behaviour bounces off one another. Try not to be with them when they're together as much as you can. Oh, my man, I hope you're all right, mate. Good to hear from you, by the way. Troy just reading this message. Listen, mate, it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to limit the time that you're with them as regularly as you can, because that's what, it's that toxicity that's causing you the problem. This is the thing, right? When you're dealing with somebody that's toxic, who's not willing to look at their own toxicity remotely, why the hell should you bend over backwards to make it okay? Like, you should go, you know what? Here's what's acceptable for me. Here's what's okay. And I ain't going to cross that. And I'm going to do my best to stay within my own boundaries. And if you don't like it, well, then tough shit, because it's your fault. It's not my fault, What does it mean to hold space for somebody? Good question. Holding space is about not taking on somebody's emotions. It's about creating a place of safety so that you can be curious with that person about why they're feeling that way. You have to create a little bit of distance, because what you're doing is you're not jumping in and holding their emotions. It's not, oh my God, this is really bad for you and I can feel how horrible that is and I'm taking it all on too, and this, I need to now try and save you. It's, okay, let me create some distance. Let me have the courage to be able to allow my body to react in the way that it is. Notice what's going on while constantly reminding myself, this isn't mine to hold. This isn't my responsibility, but I'm creating a space for you to be able to explore them, right? When you start to create that distance, then it means that you're able to allow them to not feel alone in what they are experiencing, to be witnessed, to be curious about what they're experiencing, but you're never taking it all on, which is what a lot of us learn to do in childhood. You learn to take it all on, you learn to take responsibility for it. And not only that, you create your whole personality around how good you can be at making the other person feel better. You're not there to make them feel better. You're there to help them be better at feeling. Once you take responsibility and a sense of duty and feel like you have to then change how they're feeling, you've gone too far. You've gone too far. That's not your responsibility. That's the quick answer. My hubby's mum wants him going hers with my 2 kids and me to stay at home. My kids are stressed. Fucking hell. Let me just read that again to just check. My hubby's mum wants him going to hers with my 2 kids and for me to stay at home. That ain't fucking right, man. That ain't fucking right. And listen, I don't know the full context of what you're talking about. I don't know the full context of what anybody tells me. I'm just gonna answer this as I see it. I run a page that is about toxic parents. I'm assuming you're dealing with a toxic person, here. I'm not only assuming that because my page is about toxic parents. I'm assuming that because this person wants to stop children being around their mum when they come to visit. One, I think your hubby, as your words, should be saying, no, you let my wife come with her kids. You let the mum of my children be there with her kids. Otherwise, you don't see them. I think the husband should be doing that. And 2, you stand up and you say, this ain't fucking right. The kids are stressed. That's not right. It's not right, man. It's not on. You fucking let me be there with my kids or you don't see my kids. Simple as that. That's what I would say. And the reason I got like I did is because it makes me fucking angry that anyone could say that to somebody. I think it's disgraceful, based on what I've been told. I went no contact with my BPD mum. She's written me a letter. I don't want to read it. Is it right to see it as an emotional manipulation? Don't read the letter. If you don't want to read the letter, don't read it. Here's what I say. Toxic and abusive people, once you cut ties with them, whoever they are, yeah, they will do their best to try and wrangle their way back in however they can. If you block the numbers, they'll send letters and they'll keep sending fucking letters, yeah? And they'll be designed to pull you back in. If you know in your heart that person is toxic and abusive, don't read the letter. I sense that your gut and your intuition is telling you not to read the letter. Don't read the letter. Let me ask you this. If the letter was from a toxic and abusive ex, what would people say to you about reading the letter? If it was a toxic and abusive friend, what would people say about reading the letter? Why, just because it's a parent that's toxic and abusive, should you all of a sudden feel like, well, maybe I should read the letter? That would be my answer. And this is the person whose in-laws doesn't want the kids to go around there with their mum. I'm worried I've done something wrong saying no. I was the girl whose mother-in-law wants to see my kids. Yeah. No, you haven't done anything wrong in saying no, you're not seeing my kids without me. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What if your parents don't want anything to do with you? How can I stop wanting them? Listen, that's going to be hard. And perhaps you will spend a lot of your life yearning for the parent that they should have been. And I think that's natural. And I think that makes sense. And I think it's sad that you have to live a life where you have parents that aren't going to do that. And I'm sorry. I sent my mum a letter at Christmas. She replied back a few weeks ago and said that the letter I sent to her was vile. Oh, vile is a vile. Toxic people love the word vile, don't they? Because it's really like cutting. Yeah, they will send letters. They'll send lovely... One way that they'll abuse you as well is to send lovely text messages every now and then, yeah? One of the ways that toxic people smear campaign, yeah, is to only talk lovely about you to everybody. They'll subtly have an undertone of some stuff in there, but they'll only talk lovely to people. I just love my child and I hope one day they see how much I love them and come back to me. That's the smear campaign, yeah? They think it's clever. I'm not going to call it clever because it doesn't deserve the fucking tag of clever. I'm going to call it manipulative because that's what it is. They'll go around to all of the people just being this lovely, nice, wounded parent who's done nothing but their best for their children, and I hope one day they see how much they love them. Smear campaign. Fucking smear campaign. That's what it is. It makes you seem like you're the horrible one because you've cut them out and they just seem so upset and like all they want to do is come back. It's part of the smear campaign. Part of the smear campaign is to be the wounded victim, yeah, so that you look like you're the horrible one. I love your energy, Josh, and that you swear as I do. Yeah, listen, I can. Do you know what? I don't actually swear that much, but when I'm talking about this, I get a little bit angry about it, which I think is natural, and so I should get angry. And it makes me swear. Sometimes people message me and say I shouldn't swear. Here's what I think. I think you should be yourself. I think everybody should be themselves. I try not to regulate what I say too much. Sometimes I think about the words that I want to say to make sure that I get them right. So that I can be understood in the way that I want to. But if I swear, I'm not going to apologise for being myself. How does husband deal with the emotions of feeling they never wanted him? It's hard. And there's no easy way to deal with them. It's hard, man, and toxic parents will go out of their way to make you feel like they never want you. And then make you feel like you're horrible for being upset about it. Let's go back to the Q&A here. It was my toxic mother's birthday last week and her sister posted lots of pictures with me in. I find it very warped as she knows all what's going on. She's just as toxic in truth. Yeah, listen, social media is toxic people's playground, isn't it? You will have toxic parents, by the way, who no contact whatsoever, not interested. The last contact that you might have had with them might have been them just being horribly abusive and passively nasty. And then all of a sudden, they'll post, like a social media quote about how much they just love their children and how they feel blessed to be a parent. Or on your birthday, they'll put a picture up celebrating how amazing you are, right? And again, this is all part of the smear campaign. It's all part of the story and the narrative that they play in their head. And imagine you called it out, by the way. Imagine you went on their Facebook. That's normally their playground, isn't it? It's their biggest playground. Imagine you went on there and were like, why are you writing this on Facebook when you're horrible to me all of the time? They would just reply I just want you to know that I loved you or whatever, yeah? And it would make out like you're horrible, yeah? And that's another reason why I talk the way that I do on here. Because I know that people that are the victim of these kind of toxic people, yeah, you have to be careful that your reaction doesn't come across as crazy to everybody else. Otherwise, you just feed their narrative. My entire family have turned on me 2 years ago and now my relationship is broken. It's just my daughter and I. Can you give me a coping strategy, please? It's lonely, but I'm a strong person. Yeah, of course it's lonely. Find community. Look, I have community space online. Come and check us out. Come and check us out because there's lots of people there in the same situation. Right, I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to close this down. What about parents that don't make contact, that they want you to make contact without you making contact? They won't speak to you and the sibling is the same. Well, this is another thing as well, right? Part of the tactic to keep their victimhood that they need to keep up their toxicity is to make sure that their last word, that they'll always make sure that they'll make sure that their last word was, if you want to speak to me, I'll always be here, right? Forgetting everything that they've said and done, there's no apology, they make you the crazy one. They'll finish with the door open. Yeah, so that when the contact doesn't happen, it's all on you. You broke contact. I've always said I'm here if ever they want to talk, yeah. But they're never engaging. They're never interacting with you. So normally, to bring it back to your question about what do you do if they've left the door open for contact, is leaving the door open for contact, by the way, in any normal relationship would be me saying, listen, I'm really ready to have a conversation about the things that I've done that have upset you. I want to know and understand how and why that's happened. Let's meet, let's chat. I'm sorry that I've upset you in the way that I have. That would be normal, right? But like, you've never cared about me. We've got to do lots of healing as a family because of you. And when you're ready to forgive me, when you're ready to say sorry, and when you're ready to put this right, I'll be here. That's not fucking leaving the door open. It's not leaving the door open at all. They know exactly what they're doing. So don't buy into that. Don't buy into that if you can help it. Okay, I'm going to close this down. I'm going to do as many lives as I can over the coming days. I don't know how many that will be. It was nice that the abusive bots didn't turn up here. If you're interested in doing some of the healing work, look, I'd really mention Inner You again. It can be an incredible journey. If you've dealt with all of the things that I've talked about, Inner You can really help you come back to yourself, to understand yourself, to be able to be better equipped to lay those boundaries and to be the parent for yourself that you never got. Inner You can really do that. The link is in my bio if you're interested in signing up. If you're not sure, try the breathwork. That's free. I'm not even taking your email for it. Just go and try it and see what you think. And even if you don't sign up for Inner You, stay connected on here. I offer lots of free breathworks pretty regularly as well. But the community that we have in Inner You and the weekly way that we come together can really be a good start for you. I'm going to leave it there. And I'll see you all very soon.